Hello my fireflies and welcome back to the TheCyanFirefly. It's me, Lyiat, and today I'm going to bring you guys a little footage of the one and only RaiderZ. RaiderZ is an upcoming MMORPG and let me tell you, it's looking pretty great. It's got some unique features I think you guys should enjoy. Alright, so let's actually get straightly started here. First interesting thing is that you do have falling damage, and if you fall far enough, you are actually capable of injuring yourself, like getting a leg injury that slows you down for a little while. So, hurling yourself off the nearest cliff, kind of like I did, not the best idea. Anyway. Now, as you can see, it does kind of look like a typical hotkey MMO, as if you take a look at these little keys right down here, but it really isn't. You have the ability to attack at any given time with a melee attack. Now, I am actually currently playing the Sorcerer class. I do have access to the Berserker class, and I can show you guys that a little bit later on. In fact, I do indeed plan to. Now, what does this game do differently from other MMOs? Well, it does have the whole Terra attack scheme, so I can just beat somebody to death, but I can also roll and dodge, kind of like Guild Wars and in Terra. But the other really interesting thing is what can you do with enemies? Well, and hopefully I can show you with this guy, if I can take him down. No, not from him. Well, one of these guys, if I kill him, he may drop that club he's holding, and I can actually use it as a weapon. A lot of enemies actually have pieces that I can destroy and knock off and actually use for various things. Now, with some of them, they become crafting materials. With other ones, there are temporary buffs, and some additionally are weapons. Now, you're all familiar with being able to pick up and use secondary weapons, especially if you've gotten into Guild Wars at all. And there are even some RPGs that have done that whole thing before even Guild Wars did it. But this is more the fact that they actually come from parts of monsters, which is really interesting. It adds a whole level of combat. I'd like to show it to you, but none of these guys actually seem to be dropping their clubs for me to use. Maybe this guy will be the lucky number. Throw a couple of fireballs his way. You might be seeing the little dancing magic around me. That's actually a feature of this class. Sometimes when they cast spells, they get a little buff from those spells. Alright, here we go. Here's a massive club, and we can use it to deal massive damage. Now these weapons are temporary. They actually do a lot of damage as a result, and it's always nice to pick them up when you get the chance. As you can see, the shells from the crabs also break, and I can pick those up for a nice HP recovery buff. So you have that. And these are not the only examples of this happening. They kind of front-loaded it a little bit. You don't really get to see this too much outside the starting level. But keep in mind, this is beta, and you only have access to the first 30 levels of the game so far. Also, consider that I haven't gotten a whole lot of time to play this. So there very well could be a lot more segments where you get to see this kind of stuff. I've already seen a lot of it so far. For instance, you can pick up bandit swords. There's even a segment where you can pick up a cannon lying in the battlefield and use that as a weapon. That is absolutely hilarious. I'm probably not going to be able to show you that because I've already beaten quite far past that on my Berserker, and I really don't have time to level up my Sorcerer all the way there. Anyway, the quests are pretty much as you would expect. Go out here, kill a couple of enemies, acquire these materials. But what you get to do with these materials is pretty interesting. Now, there actually is no buying of weapons. You actually have to go out into the world, find the appropriate monsters that carry the materials you need and actually use those materials to make the weapons you require. Also, another interesting thing, every single class in the game has 2 weapon sets. With the Sorcerer, you have Staff, and you have Sword and Shield. Now, I think the difference between blunt and sharp weapons is that sharp weapons tend to do more damage, but blunt weapons actually allow you to break off pieces of monsters more easily. Alright, here we go. Let us craft a new weapon so I can show you guys what that looks like. Okay, say I want a pirate sword. Let's get that done. There we go. You don't get this little cutscene every time. This is just due to the quest I'm on. Get through there. Thank you very much. Got my pirate sword. And get my pirate shield. I really don't know why they force you to wait through that. I don't know, maybe it's to prevent people from taking advantage of the crafting system and getting a crap ton of weapons at once. I have no idea. Alright, let me get the staff too, because I have both weapon sets. Good, good, good. Now I can hop into my inventory right here, and I can equip these at my leisure. Maybe. Alright, here we go. New sword, new shield, swap over to the staff, and we got a new staff too. Alright, we are kicking butt here. Now, as you can see, I leveled up. Every time you level up, you gain some skill points, which can be used to buy a number of skills. An interesting thing is, as you can see up here, you are not restricted just to the style you picked at the very beginning. In fact, you can pick any style you want. You can wield any weapon you damn well please. Now, say if I went with a massive two-handed sword, I wouldn't have access to my sorcerer abilities, but say if I had some berserker abilities, I could suddenly start using those. However, you can only start doing that once you get the mastery, which means you need at least 10 points in the given skill tree that you already have. So I need to at least get to level 10 to start speccing in other areas. Alright, let's get a double blast. That sounds kinda cool. We can start flinging that around. What's that look like? I was not wrong. That looks pretty badass. We can start using that around. Alright, let's get us some additional armor before we head out. Get ourselves a bandana, a robe, and that's all we have the equipment for. So let's throw those on. Looking stylish. Not really, we kind of look like a nun. Oh well. Alright. Now, I'm probably going to make a couple of cuts here just for sanity's sake. It'll look a little better if I actually cut out travel time. So, what I'm probably going to do right now is cut to the next area where there is a rather large golem that I can show you guys. And that fight is actually kind of interesting. The enemy scale is pretty neat, so we'll go over there. I'll see you all in a few moments. Alright, so we're over here and we're kicking some butt. Now, unfortunately, this character is actually a part of a quest, so a lot of people like to gang up on him. He's also extremely powerful, so dealing with him in a group is probably advisable. But he isn't impossible to defeat on your own. That said, a lot of if you aren't in a group, chances are somebody is going to steal him off of you, so you aren't going to get any experience or items for killing him. Kind of like that jackass right there did. Oh well. So we're going to have to wait for him to come around again. Now, some interesting things about this guy is that as you beat on him, pieces of him will fall off, just like other bosses. I'm getting some frame drops here. It's probably because of fraps. Anyway. So pieces will fall off of him, and you'll be able to pick that up for a health buff, which is pretty useful if you're fighting him alone, because as you saw just a moment ago, he hits like a bloody truck, as he should. Let's pick this up right here. We're actually killing him really fast because we are in a group. Alone, he is actually a little bit more interesting of a fight, to be honest. A little bit more epic. Here we go. Let's attack him. He's not exceedingly dangerous as long as you kind of stay under him and avoid that foot stomp. But he's actually got some really good materials to pick up off of him. I'm going to leave this group now because all I really wanted was the gear from that. And, of course, I wanted to show you guys what was going on with that fight, so... How do I forget. It's been a little while. Faction, learned skills... Ah! Here's the problem. In order to interface with some of this stuff, you have to screw around with the keys that you have. There we go. Alright, so now I'm outside of the group. Smack around some brown bears. So, a lot of this game, it has a lot of opportunities for group activity, but that tends to make the game a little easier. Fighting these big monsters by yourself is actually really rewarding and extremely challenging, but you can do it as long as you are good enough. Ugh. It also nets you all the experience, all the gold. Though I haven't actually seen a significant drop in gold as a result of fighting at a party. I wonder if they instanced that. They very well might. I have not actually seen too much information on that. I'll probably hit the forums and confirm that in the TLDR for you guys. Alright, here we go. Kill the bear a little bit more. All the classes feel really nice. The melee, well, weaker for the sorcerer, still feels like it's a viable option. You know, you can smack the guy around when your cooldowns are a little bit off. Though, with this character, cooldowns don't seem to be any bit of an issue. Alright, now I want to show you guys some cooler enemies, so... Gonna do a little bit of a jump, and then I'm gonna show you a larger monster. I'll probably be fighting him by myself, and I'll probably be getting my ass kicked. But it'll hopefully show you a little bit more to the depth of the combat. Alright, let's go right along here. And I'll see you guys in a few minutes with some newly crafted arms and armor. Alright, and we're here. Here's the giant bullfrog man, and boy is he a pain in the butt. He actually kicked my tail end when I was fighting him with my berserker. That said, I might fare a little bit better because I am currently playing a sorcerer and I have some ranged attacks. That said, he is, what? Yeah, a couple of levels above me, so we're gonna have fun either way. I did not connect with that, but I will connect with that. Let's keep out of his way. And keep on zapping him with spells, because that seems like how we're gonna win this. He can eat you, which does a ridiculous amount of damage. When he glows red, he will be shooting that acid breath out at me, so I gotta really try to avoid that. Now, you see that lovely horn on top of his head right there? That can actually be oh, got some really nasty lag right there. And you can actually knock that horn off of his head and beat him to death with it. It's pretty fun. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. The only time he becomes susceptible to that... Whoa. Yeah, he loves to jump up in the air, so be a little careful about that if you do run into that. Keep in mind that this is a closed beta game, so if you want access to it, you gotta sign up on their forums. Oh my, ow. Yeah, you gotta sign up on their forums and request access, which it is closed, so you may very well not gain access to it. Shoot his butt with fireballs. Always fun. Whoa! getting a little too close to comfort. I might have to switch over to Sword and Shield. Yes, I can actually block a lot easier with that, and I'm a little hardier. Ugh. I also don't want to be eaten. Now, as you can see, I actually have some more items to my taskbar there. Those are some recovery and buffing items. Some stuff that I probably should have taken before this fight started. Because if I actually try to get them now, and he catches me while eating them, I actually take extra damage as a result of it. It's kind of interesting that they did that. There are very few instant recovery items in this game. That's not to say that they don't exist, it's that they're rarer and they're far more expensive. Most of the stuff in the game is kind of meant to take in between fights. So you really just can't take a lot of advantage of the system. Let's get away from him a little bit. And let's see if we can... That was the wrong one, but... Oh boy, see, he hit me. Which hurt quite a bit. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can eat that, that fish as well. Which is bound to F8. Alright, let's get out of the way here. Alright, so we're healing up a little bit. So that's good. Hopefully... we can heal up enough so that we're not at complete danger of dying. They're also on a long cooldown, so don't expect to be able to spam that or anything. I'm assuming with some of the larger fights, assuming you have a group with you, you'll be able to actually pull out for a longer time to heal up even better. Hello. Yeah, he's really in my face. I kind of regret not doing this with a group. It's also nice that you're actually able to see him go all the way up in the air like that, so you know where to move to avoid him. Shoot him in the face. Wow. That gives a very dynamic feeling to the fight, too. The fact that he can leap all the way up in the air like that. I should also point out that you can't dodge infinitely. I know it can seem like I'm dodging out a lot, but that's because I'm playing a magic character. The magic-based character actually uses EP for all of his techniques. Ooh. So he has a little more SP for dodging. Dodging actually takes up the SP gauge. The fighting classes, which are the Defender and the Berserker, actually use SP as their resource for their techniques. Now, I am actually getting him down pretty well here, so I'm not doing all that bad. I am quite capable of kiting him like this. That said, I'm also shooting a lot of my attacks outside of the available range of being able to hit him, which is kind of a pain in the butt. I also haven't knocked him over yet, which is the only time you gain access to damaging his horn. And I'd kind of like to do that. Maybe that only happens if you've brought him down low enough. We'll see. I have done it before. Hopefully I don't need to get down and dirty with him, because if I do, he will definitely crush me. Ugh. Tell you what, this is getting pretty epic, pretty intense. I only have 3 skills, but I do have the ability to unlock more later on. You'll see that when I switch over to the Berserker, which I'll probably do right after this fight, in fact. Show you a little bit more about the game. Blow you up. Can I knock you down? Maybe? No? No, you're just gonna be a pain in the butt. Sounds about right. Games never do what I want them to do when I really want to show you what's going on. Oh well, I did kill him by myself, which goes to show you can kill these giant monsters by yourself as long as you know what you're doing. it also feels really nice to take something down that's meant to be taken down in a group solo. It's just a really cool feeling, especially when you know when it comes down to skill. It's not just a tank and spank. You can't just click on the creature, press 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let the game automatically do it. You have to roll out of the way, you have to dodge, you have to do all this cool stuff. You have to actively fight the creature, and you have to earn your victory. And that's kind of true at all levels. You'll never get to the point where you can just tank everything. Yeah, if you outlevel something significantly, you can kill it in a couple of blows, no problem. But you will always get that sense of challenge as long as you're fighting stuff at your level. I'm going to skip over to the Berserker right now, and I'm going to show you what that character looks like. So you can get an example of both a melee class and this cool magic class. So, again, see you in a few moments. Alright, and we're back. As you can see, we're actually in a slightly higher level area for the moment. With a slightly more advanced character. I've actually got some much better equipment for her and all that sort of stuff. Now, some of you might be wondering why I'm playing a girl. Well, that's because I had some issues when I first started this. For some reason, the game, when I went to play it originally, it quit me out, like, right off the bat, and I couldn't access my Lyiat character whatsoever, so I had to make a new one. Now, I went to go make Lyiat again, and it told me that Lyiat was already made, so I had to contact customer services. Now, long story short, I wanted to play an additional character, and I wanted to see how ridiculous the female outfits got, because this is originally an Asian MMO, and as you know, the female armor can actually get really ridiculous in Asian MMOs. Now, it actually isn't too bad here. Some of the armor is a little silly, but for the most part, the heavy chain armor is actually really big armor. It's appropriate. It's still got the breast cups, which, if that was real armor, it would just split in half across the seam, and I kind of wish they didn't do that, but oh well. From an aesthetic standpoint, I guess it kind of fits. Kill these goblins right here. These are actually really no problem for me, because I've leveled up this character quite a bit, and I've socketed her equipment with some nice jewels that I've gotten from farming some significantly high characters. Now, yes, you do have to farm in this game a little bit to get the stuff that you want, but it feels a little less like a chore, I guess, because you end up having to kill a lot of creatures during the progress of the missions anyway, and the combat system is just fun. It's, you know, you have a far more active role in it. It's not just pressing a bunch of keys and, oh, look, we killed this guy. No, you have to dodge around, you have to do all sorts of neat little things to get along. And not to mention, they spice it up by throwing these really powerful monsters at you every once in a while that you actually have to treat specially, because otherwise you will get crushed. Unless, of course, you have a massive group that just helps you along, but even still, if you get hit by that sucker, it's gonna knock you for a loop regardless. In fact, I'm gonna show you Fleetfoot. We'll go right over there. I'll skip the travel time for you so you don't have to deal with that. You know what, I realized I said I was going to show you guys Fleetfoot, but you know what, I realized that there was another very well-known YouTuber out there who has already shown everybody Fleetfoot. So instead, I feel like showing you guys the Queen. Yes, that gigantic armored spider you're looking at right there. Queen, I don't know. Teresis? I don't know. But this is another example of a really big monster that should be fought in a group, that if you know what you're doing, you can potentially fight her alone. Now, I just got stuck under her for a moment, and she launched a really nasty attack on me. In fact, she's actually kind of kicking my butt here. Luckily, I have some quick heal items. And I just used the wrong one there. But we can actually get along a little bit without a group. Hopefully. I've also got some right speed issues here. Now, you'll notice that I'm actually lagging quite a bit, which is really unfortunate. The problem with that is actually nothing to do with the game. It has everything to do with the right speed on my computer. So do not blame the game with some of the issues you're seeing here. I don't have a dedicated Fraps drive at the moment, which is something I really need to get. I actually have somebody coming over to help me. Thank you very much, random person, for your kindness, because I do not think I was going to be able to beat this enemy otherwise. Oh my. Another thing I accidentally did, which was kind of foolish, is that I put my cheese, which can really help me in a pinch when it comes to health. Whoa. Yes, I bound my cheese to 9, which is also my Fraps button. Complicated to actually do party stuff when you're in the middle of a fight, because it requires you activating your cursor. Alright, let's clobber this creature a little bit more. Oh, lovely! I am bound up in its web, so I can't do anything if it decides to attack me. Ow. That hurt quite a bit. Do I have another healing potion? Yes, I do. Ah. Dodging something coming straight on you is actually not that good of an idea, as it turns out. Alright, let's get a little angry, shall we? Clobber your big thorax. See, the goal with these kinds of things is you gotta try to kind of get behind them. Also, whenever they glow red, get the heck away from them, because they're about to do something particularly nasty that may very well hit you, even if you're behind them. Yeah, when she crouches down like that, I really gotta work on making sure I am nowhere near her. I am so glad for these insta-heal potions. You know what? I should really stop worrying about knocking stuff off of her, and I should worry about actually doing a lot of damage with my big sword. You know, I'll leave the hammer to the other girl. Oh boy. Yeah, we are really getting punished in this fight. The queen is not something to take so lightly. Oh! I saw her crouch down. I did not move quickly enough. Alright, let's get my big potion. Kinda... maybe a waste, but... let's clobber. It's clobbering time. Now, see, I have something called the Dodge Strike. The Dodge Strike actually supposedly allows me to avoid one attack and deal extra damage as a result. However, sometimes it just doesn't work. And I don't know why. Dodging does not seem to always work for some reason. The dodging mechanic isn't amazingly explained. It does look like it's supposed to give you temporary immunity. I kind of aggroed that thing. That's not all that good. Hopefully my teammate can destroy it, no problem. Kill the ad, kill the ad. I don't know how I aggroed the tree, but it's kind of unfortunate that I did, because it takes vital time off of the beastie. I am wishing I was playing my sorcerer, and my sorcerer was a higher level. And I just jumped right into it when it was spinning. That was a bright idea. Nice job, Lyiat. Nice job. That said, we seem to be doing relatively okay, even though we're kind of getting our butts kicked. Move away from it as it does its spin. Our teammate is really hurt. but there isn't anything we can do about that because we are not a healing class. I think the cleric does have some healing abilities, but I'm not sure how well they work on teammates. And we also have a very annoying spider on our back. So this is actually a pretty epic fight, and we even have more people on this fight. One of them is one level higher than the creature. I am actually one level lower than the creature. But this is a pretty epic fight. This is really fun. This feels really cool. It also looks visually impressive. This game doesn't suffer too much in the graphics department. It looks really neat, regardless of the giant things that are all lurking in the background, and it's pretty well optimized. My random frame rate drops have seemed to go away for the moment. Get rid of that spider because it's actually hurting me more than the queen is at the moment. I still have more potions, but I can't access them at the moment because they are on cooldown. Maybe if I just keep away from the spider for a few moments, let her deal with it at the very moment. I do have a revival item if everything goes completely south, so we may very well win this battle. Unless this thing has a rage mode that I'm not aware of. That would end very poorly for me. I love running in and just dealing damage to it. That is a big burst of web. You are not Spider-Man. You are Spider Creature. Ow. I am probably going to fall down here. Yes, I am. Oh, well. I can get back up immediately, so there is that. And I can just join right in with the fight again. And because I am actually part of this group, I have no major penalty for doing so. I do lose some durability. Ah. Now I'm trapped in its web again. Oh, lovely. And it's gonna hit me, maybe? Oh, yeah, it got me. Unfortunately, actually, as it turns out, I cannot just eat my cheese. Kind of wish somebody else would come over and help us. Jeez, this thing is doing some crazy damage. What is this? What is this? I have no idea what this is. Looks like it was a defender ability. There seems to be a defender over here. That's cool. Or a cleric. No, that is very much a cleric. And that cleric is now helping us. That is amazing. Thank you very much, random cleric. I would invite her to a group, but it does not seem that I am the leader of this group, so I can't do so. I'd check, but that would be redundant. I really need to kind of use that dodge strike if I want to remain close to her when she decides to do that spin. Oh boy. Get away from her. Get away from her. So, that's really the game in the nutshell. Kill giant creatures and use their body parts to make really neat and interesting items. Play with other people, otherwise you very well will have a hard time. Though if you are good enough, if you do possess the skill, you can actually kill very big creatures by yourself. And I am down. Other players can revive you. So that is very good to know. But it does not look like there is going to be anybody reviving me anytime soon. Anyone? Maybe? No, they left the party. Those heartless jerks. So I didn't get any experience from that. Oh well. That said, I am entitled to the loot if I get over there quick enough. But that is, as I said before, the game in a nutshell. Kill giant creatures, take their parts, build weapons, and just have a lot of fun. The combat is intense. All the characters, all the classes actually feel really good. This weapon feels really hefty. It swings very well. Even the giant hammer that I have, it swings very well. The magic caster can even jump in and do some melee stuff. They really left no class wanting. You kind of want to experience everything in this game. And really, there isn't any real reason not to, because you do have access to all the class trees, regardless of what kind of character you picked at the start. So, really, just have fun with it, go crazy. This is a free-to-play game when it does eventually come out, so there are very few reasons not to play it. That said, I am aware that there are other MMOs coming out, and this game will be competing directly with them, namely Guild Wars. It would be kind of a shame for this game to fall flat on its face as a result. I mean, I know I really want to play Guild Wars, and I'm going to be focusing a lot on that myself. But this game really does deserve a chance, so at least check it out. Because it is a whole lot of fun. I mean, the concept of making every single weapon you wield rather than just buying them at a store, that's really, really neat. Especially considering it's all stuff that's coming out of the beasts that you're beating the crap out of. So it's a true representation of your skill rather than just a, you know, okay, I went here and I ran this dungeon so I get a cool weapon as a result of it. Well, in this case, it's no, I went and fought this creature single-handedly. I ripped its fangs out of its mouth. I went back to a blacksmith and I hammered that into a sword. That is so much cooler than I found this in a chest. Yay. So, take with it as you will. I think this game just feels so much better than most MMOs out there. And the concept of using what you've actually accomplished as gear is really neat to me. I mean, it might not be to some other people. I know there are still some very dedicated WoW people out there. But as I said before, this is a free-to-play game, so there is very little reason not to at least give it a try when it comes out. One final thing before I close up here. There are mounts. The mounts you do not just gain access to, you do have to make them, just like everything else. I'm not entirely sure how you make a giant bird. I think it's more specifically that you're gathering materials for its saddle. And then you're capable of buying one after you make the saddle, so take that as you will. Whoa, horrendous lag. It tends to happen when I get in these wide open areas. I think it's because it's trying to register all this massive stuff at once. So here's Fleetfoot over here. I'll show you guys as I close out here. So, RaiderZ, everyone. It's pretty fun. It's going in a very interesting way. I really wish most MMOs were kind of like this. I think I'd be far more interested in the MMO genre if that were the case. And it's a whole lot of fun. So go check out Perfect World's website and look into the game. And that's all I have to say here. I have repeated myself quite a few times in the past 3 or 4 minutes. So, good time to end it. This has been Lyiat with TheCyanFirefly. I do hope to catch you all next time. Stick around if you want to watch me fight Fleetfoot for good or ill. Yes, he's probably going to kill me. This fight will not last too much longer. I'll see you next time.